All right, this is Chapter 2, Lesson 3, the percent proportion. So, in a blank blank, one ratio or fraction compares part of a quantity to the whole quantity. The other ratio is the blank percent written as a fraction with a denominator of 100. In those blanks, you're going to write percent proportion and equivalent. So, in a percent proportion, one ratio or fraction compares parts of a quantity to the whole quantity. The other ratio is the equivalent percent written as a fraction with a denominator of 100. So, a couple of examples. The first one I have is find the percent. So, I'm asked, what percent of 5 is 4? Okay? So, remember, of means multiply, is means equals. Okay? So, my percent is always over 100. And over 100. Okay? And then my proportion is set up as is over of. Okay? So the number that follows is 4. The number that follows of is 5. 4/5. So 4/5 equals n over 100. Okay? I can do the same thing for find the part. What number is 80% of 5? So what number, I don't know what number is, it's right before is P. 80%, percents are always over 100 when they're dealing with fractions. 80 over 100 of 5. Of, remember, 5 is in the bottom. And then I have find the whole. 4 is 80% of what number? So 4 is, it's right attached to that is 4. 80%, again, is 80 over 100. And W is a number. All right, so let's take a look at a couple of examples. The first example I have is what percent of 15 is $9? So in words, what percent of 15 is $9? I pick a variable, any variable, okay, let n represent the percent. Then I write my proportion. Part, whole, okay? Remember, 9 is my part, because that's after my is. Of is your whole, which is 15. And I'm looking for a percent, so n over 100. Okay, when I do this, I can multiply by the butterfly. Okay, use my cross products. So I multiply 9 times 100, which gives me 900. And 15 times n, which gives me 15n. Then I divide by 15. 900 divided by 15 is 60. So $9 is 60% of $15. Remember, I was looking for a percent, so you've got to include that percent sign at the end. The next one I have is what number is 40% of 120? So I'm looking for my part in this one, because my part is my is, what number is, okay? My whole is 120 out of 120, and 40% I write as 40 over 100. So again, I use multiply by the butterfly or cross products. Okay, P times 100 is 100P. 120 times 40 is 4,800. I divide both sides by 100, and I get P equals 48. So 48 is 40% of 120. The next one I have is 18 is 25% of what number? So in this case, I'm missing my whole, okay? So my part is 18, my whole is W, because that's what I'm missing. And then my percent is 25%, so 25 over 100. Again, I multiply by the butterfly. 18 times 100 is 1,800. 2 times W times 25 equals 25W. Then I divide both sides by 25. 1,800 divided by 25 equals 72. So 18 is 25% of 72. All right, there are 3 try it out problems below. I want you to go ahead, pause the video, try them out, and when you're done, we'll go over the answers together. All right, now that you've tried out the try problems, let's go over the answers together. So the first one I have is what percent of 25 is 20? So I'm going to go ahead and set up my proportion. Is of equals percent over 100. Okay? So I'm looking through what percent. So that tells me I'm missing a percent, so that's where I'm going to put my variable. So I set up my proportion over 100. My percent is what I'm missing, so I'm going to put a variable there. Percent of 25, 25 is where I need to put my of, is 20. Okay? Now I can go ahead, multiply by the butterfly. Okay? So I get 20 times 100 equals 25 times n. 20 times 100 gives me 2,000 equals 25n, and then I divide by 25. N equals 80. It's 80% because it's a percent. What percent am I missing? All right, the second problem says what number is 5% of 60? So again, I'm going to set up my proportion. Is of equals percent over 100. Well, they gave me my percent, that's 5. So I can put 5 over 100. Okay. And then what number is, so my is what I'm missing. I'm going to use a variable, whatever one you want. And then of 60. So again, I multiply by the butterfly. And I get 100x equals 5 times 60, which is 300. And then I divide both sides by 100. So x equals 3. All right, the last problem I have is 40% of what number is 26? So again, I want to set up my proportion. Is of equals percent over 100. Well, they gave me my percent. That's 40 over 100. What number, 40% of, which means that's what I'm missing, so I'm going to put a variable in for of, is 26. Again, I multiply by the butterfly. So I get 26 times 100 equals 40 times n. So 26 times 100 is 2,600 equals 40n. Then I divide both sides by 40. 2,600 divided by 40 equals 65. So n equals 65. All right, on this page you also have a foldable, is of equals percent over 100, so you can remind that it's part over whole. You can use this throughout the entire lesson and for your quiz as well. And that is the end of Chapter 2, Lesson 3.